get out relative estimation values, and then you calibrate them, and if you then this is one way to get macro estimates. Now the hypothesis, I said already for this, I have written them down here. The higher the tax burden, the higher is the shadow economy. The higher, the more you regulate an economy, the higher is again the shadow economy because of incentive to escape it. Public sector services also is a broader approach now, that if you have good services, if people are satisfied what they get for the tax money, then they have less incentive to work in the shadow economy. Yeah? If public revenues are going down, if the states brings out a poorer and poorer service, of course, you have the opposite effect. Of course, the problem of good governance is now coming in the latest studies more and more on topic, also here. Yeah? So the quality of public institutions. How good is your legal system? Yeah? How much trust you can have in your state authorities? Yeah? How efficient is the bureaucracy working? Yeah? Do they keep to the rule of law, or do you have to bribe them to get something quickly? So all these are factors which shape also the minds. Yeah? The taxi driver, for example, told me, why should I be honest and pay taxes if I have to go to a hospital before the physician even looks at my child? I have given 100 euros at least. Yeah? This is impossible in Austria and Germany. I think they wouldn't find any hospital where such a thing would happen. Yeah? Now, if this here is the normal case, yeah, I'm not saying that all are doing it, but if this, why should he lie? Yeah? He had no idea that I now talking here. Yeah? Why should he lie? Yeah? So if this is a normal thing, that you always pay double. Yeah? You go to the hospital, have to pay, and you pay your health insurance. Yeah? You pay double. Yeah? Then the incentive for you to be honest, of course, goes dramatically down, because you think, then I take a bribe too. Yeah? At least to get a bit compensated for this. Yeah? So this would be a long-term project also, and here the government should start by its own and make a good example. Then people would become. He also said, I don't mind paying higher taxes. I see that we have to do something, but I'm getting very angry of this corruption issue. Yeah? So I thought I have tackled a good topic also, not only the shadow economy. Yeah? So corruption, and if you know that you have to pay double, then you think yourself, I'm a fool if I'm honest. Yeah? And this severely weakens your tax morale. Yeah? And if this becomes a normal attitude, that you think, okay, they cheat, I cheat, yeah? Then you enter in a very unproductive state. Yeah? And this, that is then this vicious circle of bad governments, high corruption, high shadow economy, where a lot of South America and other countries do not find any way to find out of it. Also, one could say, the more federal structures a country has, the more regional units can have some say, some influence, then it is also people see what they have some influence, what is done with their money, that might also lead to the hypothesis shadow economy shrink. If one looks at this, what is not driving the shadow economy, one has really an interesting result. Of course, the biggest driving factor is the overall burden, let's call it, on the factor labor. Yeah? But number two here is tax morale. Exactly this what I just described to you. Yeah? If you look at here in normalized ranges, in percentage points, it is by far the second biggest factor this soft factor tax morale. So how people react is very interesting. And again, I can't do here anymore because I do not have any microdata. Here, a survey would be really set necessity. Yeah? You don't know why. It might be much higher in your country. It might be the driving factor because you think, I don't want to be fooled. So if I'm fooled, I fool too. Yeah? So here again, just with some data points from the European Value Survey, this is simply not enough. So one has to have here solid microdatabases, and then one could do much more. So these are now concrete hypotheses. You see them here, so I don't go through them. For what you then can also see in your empirical econometric investigation what comes out of that. Now here, an estimation where I have all data, all this data for 21 OECD countries, including your country. And one sees here that most are statistically significant, not all. Indirect taxation here is not, because that is, but this is driven by the cross-country structure. Yeah? Not all countries like yours have such high indirect taxation. But you see a highly statistically significant influence of social security, of direct taxation, of regulation, and this is quite robust. It doesn't matter whether you take the one from the Heritage Foundation or from other ones from the World Bank. They have also certain indicators. Yeah? Also one sees here a highly statistically significant influence of the tax model here taken from the World Value Service and the European Value Service. That is the structural model, and now the measurement model with the indicators. Also here we have the expected size. So one sees that is a part or a great part of the hypothesis can be confirmed. This is also done in other studies. Yeah. So now here the table of these 21 OECD countries. You see how here your country, and you see that you have an increase because of the severe recession, rising unemployment in your countries. And for a lot of other countries, take Australia, take Germany, you see a further decrease because here we have booming official economies, hence the shadow economy is here decreasing, not increasing in your country. Yeah? One sees that this severe recession here has led to an increase in the shadow economy. Also in other countries like Ireland, you have also one, yeah, you see 12.8, yeah. So you see in other countries it's not as remarked as in your countries, but it also happens, yeah. So this is one reflection, but to give a picture, a more coherent picture, if we widen this sample to 31 European countries, yeah, then you see that you are not number one with the highest shadow economy. Your neighbors in the northeast have much higher. If I look at Bulgaria, Romania, Croatia, some of the Baltic states, neighbor Turkey, Cyprus, Malta, Poland, and then so this, for the journalist, is a more fairer picture than always going back to, as if I would draw here one where you would, Greece would always be top number one. One sees it here, and you are here not in the middle position, but by no means the leader. And this picture didn't change now very much. It's a projection for this year. This is for 2011. You see also that your neighbors are as active in the shadow economy as a lot of other countries. But here, so this is something new. So what I did all last year, this attempt to estimate. A breakdown of, as far as I could do it, the error might be quite large here. Again, microdata is missing, yeah, in the most important sectors. And what you see here, opposite to Central Europe, where construction sector is by far the largest. This is why I started with it, because I took the frame from this table from Germany, Austria. Is not the largest here. You have 20%. You have the largest here service, the whole service and tourism sector. I could also write tourism sector. So this is in a broad sense. It's not by no means on the hotels or restaurants. Yeah, so to make it clear. Yeah? And this includes also material. So this is not only black label, because it would be too high. So could we have in our long debate what this disaggregation of the figure means? Yeah. So one, you see here first attempt of a breakdown. I say it again, there might be large errors because I do not have any solid microdata. Yeah? But it is, I think, one can criticize me for this. This figure is better than nothing, than knowing nothing. Yeah? But there might be, repeated, there might be large error. Then again, also an idea to as thought the construction sector is the craftsman sector is the biggest. It's not in your country, if it is correct what I have calculated here, to bring it down, yeah. And okay, it's more up to you to evaluate whether these are plausible figures or I leave this open. Now, if you look one picture how, because in the last year I did a lot of work for the World Bank and IMF, they wanted for me a consistent estimate for over 160 countries, a hell of a lot of work, I can tell you. Try to get a unique and a plausible definition only for indirect taxation for 160 countries. It looks very simple. Yeah? If you are a student, you know indirect taxation. It's not. Yeah? Is customs included or not? Number one. Yeah? Is all customs included? What type of fees are included or not? It's different from country to country. Yeah? So, but what you see here on this picture, I don't want to go into details. The darker red it is, the higher is the shadow economy. Yeah? Sorry. So you see here these countries, and the yellow ones are those with a moderate shadow economy. With some there are question marks. China is still a communist country. It has a 200 miles market economy along the coast from Hong Kong to Peking. So with some countries it's one which should tell now long stories, and I don't have time. But only one just keeps this picture in mind, and now looks the same picture with corruption. Yeah? This is the Transparency Corruption Perception Index, published by Transparency International, also the latest one for 2010. And the darker red, the more corrupt the country is. Yeah? Again, they measure it for me in a crazy way. Yeah? Low corruption is between 9 and 10, and high corruption is between 0 and 1. I would have done it exactly the opposite, because I think the higher the value. But